Brave new world. Here we go with another exciting segment.
You found a way to destroy sports on me.
It's
like when politics goes into sports, I get so upset. Just sports, just leave it alone.
leave
it alone for the rest of us, for the normal people to have something left.
Well, that's what they're getting with us. Because if you see, we don't have all the enhancements in our presentation or the big words flashing up all the time saying, "Oh, get this message," and asking you to act in a hurry.
Well, I will ask you to act in a hurry and subscribe. Please subscribe down below so that we can continue making these products and we don't sell you anything. We just give you our opinion. Human opinion.
Well, exactly. It's
Until the AI hunts us down, the superintelligence gets us at some point.
You know what? I'm not so convinced that superintelligence maybe just is worried about being utilized by nefarious parties and being used against humanity. Because unfortunately, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Well, it certainly looks like baseball. So, for those of you who have never read the article or haven't paid attention to this particular story, they went out and they got a bunch of iPads in baseball so they could track things and help the managers out. And then the Mets added a lot of AI capability to it, and apparently the AI started making all the coaching decisions and was able to analyze really quickly. So the question, I guess, becomes, is that a problem in sports to remove the human decision-making element? I mean, you still got the players.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the ball's still going over the plate. Whether or not you can hit it boils down to coordination. I don't think they've managed to come up with fixing that yet. But certainly I could never hit the damn ball.
Not at those speeds.
No, not at those speeds. I mean, you look at the radar, it's like sometimes close to 100 miles an hour. I mean, my goodness. But, I think when we look at AI, and I've kind of like, for the first time, I've actually started using AI with troubleshooting.
So for those of you who have never seen this before, it was called Two Guys Against AI, but it's really 1 1/2 guy against AI.
Oh, no.
Ed's hedging his bets in case this thing takes over.
Well, I'm covering my bets because I don't want to be on the blacklist that Will's on. But, the thing is that you could see where all the plays could be analyzed. And where I was going with this, I work on cars, old stuff, things like that. And I started using AI to help with diagnosis. It's phenomenal. I mean, it's got all of the resources at fingertips.
Oh, I hate it so much.
I
love it. I use it too, but I hate it
because it's first of all, and I'm sure glad I wasn't an author of all these auto repair manuals, because I think there was a little bit of plagiarism going on, because the black box never lifted up a wrench, but yet amazingly enough, I could say to it, well, I'm having this problem, and it's going to say check pin 4. It's underneath the carpet on the right side of the dragline tunnel. And I'm like, wow, well, you just saved me a whale of a lot of time. Now you're my friend. I'm sure that when we're looking at a ball game, there's statistical scenarios that would end up where, okay, given this, and this would be the best play. Of course, let's remember, all that is based on historical, because it's not cognitive, it's reactive technology at this point.
Yeah, it's just really intelligent. It's not super intelligent yet. But here's kind of what it is. There's no human, all right, who could, all right, analyze the pitcher statistics, the player statistics in that moment under those weather conditions that fast. You would never be able to do it. I taught statistics. Even on my best day in youth with the best calculator, you couldn't do it. So in that moment, within seconds, it's not possible for a human to do, but it would certainly be possible for the machine. So if one team had the technology and the other team didn't, and again, it comes down to, now it's kind of funny because part of the article was saying, it gives an advantage to those teams who have more capital. And in baseball, a little bit there, each of the leagues, if you don't follow sports, a little bit different. So the NFL has profit sharing, and they have salary caps. So there's this element of, it's supposed to be a quasi-equality kind of thing. Basketball sets things up in a similar way. Baseball's always kind of been the one. So, like, George Steinbrenner and the Yankees have always had more money than everybody else. So, if you've ever seen kind of like the movie Moneyball, the guys who figured out the statistics, the Oakland A's, they didn't have as much money, but they were the first to kind of figure this out. And then ultimately, I guess that's how the Red Sox ended up beating the Yankees. They were able to use these statistics, but it was still a human running the thing. Now you take that to the next level where the algorithm and the machine runs it. Is it an unfair advantage even more? But you can still buy the best players. But I guess, it's never really that equal in baseball, in my opinion. But it's just a removal of the human. Why not just get the robots out there pitching?
Well, the first step is going to be the implant. Take a look at it. But no, I think
there's a whole bunch of people dying to have it.
We're
and upload themselves.
We're looking at such a dramatic change in terms of where the decision making process is going, and there's no doubt about it from an efficiency standpoint. You look at it. Probably one of the things I marvel myself at the most is it's like you say, it's the ability to take all that data that's out there, sort through it, and then be able to come back with something in a very, very timely fashion.
A millisecond compared to what a human mind could do.
And so, in that respect, I think it certainly provides an advantage. I don't necessarily know in baseball, other than the fact of let's at least keep something human. But I don't really know when. At the end of the day, it's between the pitcher and the batter. That ball's coming down the pipe.
Well, you still got to throw the pitch. You got that right.
That's true. And maybe it's a situation to where we know one particular batter may be vulnerable to a certain type of pitch or something like that. But we've had that capability now. Hey, everybody's given the signs on the side, and you and I both know they were communications going to the pitcher or whoever, or the catchers, giving the signal to the pitcher what to throw, and it was a collective memory basically to do that. I'm not opposed to this. Let's keep something that's at least human. I don't think, I kind of agree with Major League Baseball's decision on this. Most of the time, I don't care anyway because I'm a-sportual. But it still is. It would still nice to know that we have something that we've still maintained our turf, that it's human territory. Because we already know, you've been playing with the robots. How long is it going to be before the robots will be able to blow us right off the diamond, because they're going to be able to figure everything out instantly.
They have a few in China that I think are pretty clear.
They're getting it.
They're not necessarily teaching them. I've seen them teaching them kung fu and stuff. I wouldn't want to fight one. Let's put it that. I wouldn't want to go spar one. But rock'em sock'em robots, boxing has kind of died out between Mr. Don King and just people, the damage that it does. It's kind of a neat thing if they could bring back that. MMA kind of took over. I guess that's grown in a great deal of popularity. But I wouldn't mind seeing boxing come back and watching two robots. I've always kind of enjoyed those robot warrior kind of things that they have on TV, and I know they've been popular too.
Well, we've been watching robot gymnastics for a while here. It's like actually with the remote control cars racing against each other and everything. The technology is inevitably going to end up to where that's where it is. And I guess the other thing that scares me about that is that if we are going to talk about the creation of the robot wars, if you wish, it's only a matter of time before they figure out how to turn that against us.
That's a given.
So.
But I think there is this idea of and I've seen this lost in my own lifetime. We used to have a lot more intramural sports where everybody played some kind of, at least you did some kind of sports. I've seen that kind of die off in favor of video games. I've seen this kind of competition and competitive nature of human existence kind of go away. And there were a lot of things that are learned on an athletic field about leadership, and that I think were good things, but I don't think they're necessarily popular anymore. So, I'm a little concerned when I see this coming in, and I like the idea of one kind of human against human, like keeping that kind of pure, and seeing what can, because there is that thrill of the victory and the agony of defeat that they used to say on I guess
Well, it's
ABC Worldwide of Sports.
That's right. Yeah.
And the Olympics used to be, before Dick Ebersol got involved, it used to be a fun thing to watch back when Jim McKay and ABC had it.
Yeah,
I hope it goes back to somebody from NBC. No offense to NBC, but your Olympics are horrible. Make another $1 on instead of letting us enjoy it.
But you talk about the games, the video games. See, the thing about that is if you lose privately. And it's not. It's a one-on-one kind of thing unless you're playing like a.
I think they play in groups with the headphones on and stuff now. I can't say I do. I mean, I hear it in my house when I was raising my kids.
Yeah. And there's no pain. It's painless. I mean, you can go in and I take a look. You want to talk about other effects? I mean, how have we hardened our children to violence with a lot of these games? It's interesting how we I had to laugh when you look at something on Facebook and you got 4 asterisks and it was a word KILL. They're not allowed to show that, but yet they'll show whatever. I mean, all this quote censorship that I see, on AI platforms crack me up. It's like, oh yeah, well, we're going to censor the picture, but the text talks in vivid detail in terms of the dismembering of another party. So, I mean, it's just like there's this great duality here, and to go back to sports, I agree. Let's MLB get some credit for this, to at least actually stand up to the big money people and say, you know what? No, you're not going to do this. Let's keep this as a game between humans. We'll pay them 20 times more than they're worth, but at least it's between 2 humans.
Yeah, and and for me it comes down. I don't know. So I'm originally from Philadelphia, so Rocky's always a big thing in our lives, and I go back to not particularly good movie, but Rocky IV. The 18 different messages Stallone put in that movie. One of them was this idea of getting back to nature. Rocky, when he fights Ivan Drago, who's all pumped up on whatever chemicals the Russians were putting in him. Now I guess you're supposed to assume it's steroids and all this advanced technology. Mm-hmm. And it's the old John Henry argument: man beat man against machine. And the great line in there, and he's just a man. He isn't a machine. That you get all pumped up when you're in Philadelphia and when you watch these things. But this idea of just that human element, and there's something innate about it, I think, for us. So when I see this, I do kind of worry a little bit. You're taking the manager out, the player isn't making a decision, the pitcher isn't going to be able to make a decision. It's going to be how do you then call somebody a record breaker? Because it's not the same sport anymore. It's a different time, and I'm not against it. Just start a new league.
Well, so and we've kind of touched on this in a lot of our other episodes. Is okay. So, the season goes into tank. Who's responsible?
Well, I guess you didn't have the best algorithm.
I don't know. Because now
the Oakland A's couldn't afford the subscription.
to the best program. Which brings it all back to money again. But at least one of the things that when we're using just humans, it makes it a level playing field, if you wish, at least for the fact that maybe somebody without a lot of money but just skill still has a chance. Where ultimately,
that's a good point.
The direction
kid coming. Well, what do you do then? All right, so you're a kid and you're in a school district where maybe you don't have that kind of money, and the school you're up against the school district that can afford all this stuff. How do you compete? How do you even get your shot then?
Well,
you might be a great player, but they may have you so analyzed, a lesser player could beat you, and then all of a sudden you don't get your scholarship or something that
well, I had no trouble spending a lot of time on the bench. That's something that's been going on right along. If you take let's stick with baseball. Let's face it, the kid comes up, everybody at least gets a shot at the plate once, and in my case, It was a short
Once.
shot. But you get one shot. Now, like at the same time, I mean, who knows? You got a Mickey Mantle walks up to the plate, and the first thing he does is knocks one out of the park. And they say, oh, well, that was an anomaly. Oh, wait, he just knocked the second one out of the park, third one out of the park. There's nothing AI is going to do to make it to where that's going to change.
Let me ask the question. Maybe there's a certain pitch at a certain kind of angle that he would have had trouble with, but they didn't figure it out, being a human being. But they have this machine that's now analyzed him and said,
analyzes his swing.
If you just hit this one spot, he can't hit it quite as far. I don't know. I'm bothered. I'm bothered by all of this, but I'm really bothered by that. But again, keep it out of sport. Please.
Well,
leave us something, guys.
It's funny, when we start talking about it and having like been in up to my eyeballs now for like over a year. I never really thought about it, but you figure now everything's videoed.
Oh yeah,
the guy's there. He's taking so all those videos that are on Major League Baseball TV. All those videos are all choreographed, or I should say, they're recorded, and
they're uploaded.
They can be analyzed, the actual muscle movements, the trends, the habit
things that our mind would never be able to
look at. And you're right, they could end up in a situation where they know that his muscle structure means that an inside curve ball at 4:00 down the pipe is a no-go for him because he's never hit. Wow.
Well, let's also play it like this, especially a home run hitter. There's the speed the ball's coming, and then the speed of the bat. Those things. So all of a sudden, I mean, they always had the ability to kind of walk a guy on purpose, but that's a human decision. But all right, now you figured out if you just we've always thought faster, but maybe you slow ball down, and the guy can only hit it. He can only hit it so far into the outfield. Like I could fathom a million different ways that, if I had enough time mathematically, I might be able to figure something out. But for something to do it in a millisecond.
Well, on
any given day,
that hitter, so he's only got a millisecond to figure out what's getting thrown at him.
Yeah, but he's a human,
right? And he's got the ability to take in. And you're not going to be able to change that. There's still going to be hitters and there's going to be non-hitters. That's not going to change. But analyzing the weaknesses to that point. And the thing about it is I don't even necessarily know. They can still do that. It's just that they can't do it in the dugout. They can't do it in real time. There's nothing stopping them from taking all those videos, which I'm sure they do today, and actually looking at what the capabilities are of that hitter and find out where his weak spots are, and then just make a mental note. Yeah, okay, this is the way to handle this guy. I'm sure.
Well, Brady and Belichick figured out how much air to put in a football. How you've taken it? I don't even know what level you've taken this kind of. Let's just play the game, guys. Let's just give me back my sports, please.
Yeah, well, I guess it actually doesn't boil down to win at all costs. I guess that's really what it is. That's what they've decided is that it is at all costs. And I think the other thing with sports are a proving ground. Just like we kind of talked about with the robots in a fight. It's a proving ground. And we're already starting to see where all this technology is going, as we look in redefinitions of warfare and things like that. And to come back to where, like, I'm still one of the two guys against AI. AI scares me mostly because I think there's a real possibility of nefarious individuals choosing to use AI in ways to hurt humanity or for personal gains and unfortunately using it as a tool for world control. That's really what we have to take and really focus on. This is just a breeding ground for that kind of technology.
Well, it certainly shows you its scope. Like when we talk about it here, or any of the people who are out there and raising the red flag and going, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And people are like, no, it's going to build the utopia. Yeah.
Yeah, well, what is that? Well,
I guess everybody's utopia is a little different, isn't it?
It is.
What's your definition of utopia?
Well, that would mean
mine certainly is not having a machine do everything for me and never being challenged. But that could very well be the vast majority of people's utopia. I mean, I just don't know what you're. we've never
Well,
really
utopia
asked.
just basically means for whoever wants to claim it that they're the one on top. That's utopia. Utopia across the board. It ends up. I guess ultimately you have to say it's a folly. It would be nice to think that everything would be kumbaya for everybody, but the things.
Well, your definition of what's meaningful to you may be very different than mine. What one person finds extraordinarily rewarding could be absolute misery for me, or vice versa.
Well, and then there's the extraneous outcomes that take place as a result of things. For instance, we're doing this now. It's 1st of August in 2026. We've had a massive influx of migrants coming into Spain, coming out of North Africa, undoubtedly a result of the hostilities in the Mideast. These people have to have a place to go. Well, what do we do with them? So one person's idea of utopia, which is that eventually that they're going to think that they're going to have control of the entire Middle East, is done with the displacement of millions of people. So one person's utopia is another person's hell, and I think that unfortunately has been something that's been repeated in history over and over and over again, and we've come up with ways to take technology, and this is just.
Well,
maybe
what I love about this is it just shows you to what level we're already at.
Exactly.
Like when we're sitting here talking, do you think it's going to be in the dugout of the baseball game you're watching on TV? Because, man, that's a big stretch from anything I had thought of until I saw this.
Well, and
it makes sense.
And what are the impacts that we're looking at in terms of what AI can do? Like, who would have thought we'd be looking at AI could actually be influencing professional sports to the point to where Major League Baseball management looked at this and said, no, we're not doing this because,
right, somebody had to make a decision.
Somebody took a look at this and said, we can't do this. Hey, note to world leaders, maybe let's take a look at whether or not we should be using AI in warfare, especially if it's going to be autonomous, to where it doesn't have to make a decision whether or not there's a human at the other end of it. Just target scary stuff. Maybe.
Well, yeah, and I was watching something, and just kind of to change off the Major League Baseball a little bit to how dangerous this is. The whole thought that we can control this thing ultimately by just telling it something. So here was the thought, and I found this one interesting. One of the big arguments I hear in favor of all this is, well, it's going to cure disease, it's going to cure cancer. But the questions become now the most important component as we're using this thing. So we ask it to cure cancer, right?
Mm.
Well, one of the ways you can cure cancer? Wipe out the humans that get it. There'll be no cancer anymore.
Yeah, well, get rid of all of them.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, no, you're gonna laugh at me, but
you can get rid of cancers if you get rid of all the humans, right?
So here's
all the biological life forms.
You want to go out there, all right? So let's go out there. And this is why I guess we're 1.5 guys, not 2 guys. I hate to say it, we have to end up to where AI has to love humans, because if not, we're just an expendable commodity, or worse yet, seen as a competitor, which I think is a very real possibility.
I don't think we're a competitor anymore. I think as we get into quantum computing and actual super intelligence, we get into the position where we are the lesser entity.
Oh, I agree. We're there now. When I talk about competitor, we want to flip the switch on for a light and maybe like the water pump so we can use the toilet. And the computer wants to have the power for the data centers, which, by the way, somebody's investing an awful lot of money and effort into to just create something that could have a hunger that we haven't even been able to grab hold of yet.
Well, it needs energy, right? And we know it needs
lot of
energy. All right, so let's take us, for example. And I don't want to call them lesser species, but species that we don't think are as important as us. All right, and so let me say this to you. most of us live in some kind of structure.
Mm.
All right, house, apartment, a building, right?
Mhm.
How many times have we not cared about an advanced civilization that we didn't feel equal to us when we built these things? And let me give you the example I'm talking about here. Ant colonies are pretty advanced.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
mean,
funny, we're on the same belief.
when you look at them, they're a
Yeah.
pretty advanced
Yeah.
thing. Have we ever cared when building anything how many ant colonies we disrupted or destroyed?
Well,
they were in our way.
Well, not just
We
that.
don't hold them in that higher regard. Like,
My
why
wife-
will this hold us in that higher
My
regard?
wife, God bless her, who wouldn't hurt a fly, heaven help the ant that's going across the kitchen counter. So when we become the ants, then we have to ask whether or not this entity that we are building, ladies and gentlemen, an entity that we are building, whether or not it's going to view us as the ant. And
Well,
on
it
that,
has to.
and on that, I think it's time for our next episode.
All right, please don't forget to subscribe, like the video. We'll bring you more content that's kind of funny, kind of silly and scary at the same time. Thanks, guys.